Why do we suffer? So if life is this beautiful, connected experience of love, if our true nature is one of just boundless abundance and love and beauty and perfection, why is there suffering? Well, going back to this idea of why we're here in the first place, it's this game of hide and seek, of our true nature getting hidden from us so we can experience this reality, and then us looking for ourselves again, recognizing ourselves, looking for life, recognizing the divine nature of everything around us. Any place where we get stuck in physical reality, where we get too attached to kind of the game, the hide and seek, where we hide too deeply, we experience as what we call suffering. It's the experience of being disconnected from our true self, from that version of us that's nature is just bliss and abundance and love and perfection and wholeness. So when we feel a lack of that wholeness, when we feel that sense of fear, that sense of lack, of not belonging, of being disconnected from something, even if we don't know what that thing is, that is suffering. And the reason we experience this as suffering is life is giving us a clue where we're attached. It's giving us a clue where we're hiding a little bit too much, when in actual fact, if we came out of hiding, if we surrendered that attachment, if we let go of some of that stuff, we wouldn't go anywhere other than to fall back to that natural state of beauty and abundance and bliss and love and possibility and freedom and joy and all these things that we like, that feel good to us. So the beautiful thing here is you can start reframing the suffering in your life. And this is not to deny the very real human experience of suffering, of physical pain, of suffering, of so many aspects of how painful life is. But there's two levels to the suffering. There's one which is just the basic nature of physical matter. It's the nature of us being these separate beings, and we experience some form of suffering. If I get hit in the face, it's going to hurt. I would call that suffering. However, that is a temporary experience at best. Most of the suffering we refer to, and the stuff that really affects our life in a negative way and causes the depression and causes the anxiety, is the narratives. It's the mental suffering. It's where we're really attached to a story. For example, if I get hit in the face, the suffering really isn't the experience of getting hit in the face. That's a temporary experience. It's painful, but it passes. What creates suffering long term is the sense of like, I am not safe in the world, or I am powerless, or I cannot go out and experience the world, or I need to hide because I am afraid of what's going to happen, because I'm afraid of getting hit in the face again. And that is all a story in the mind. And that is the suffering that we can start dissolving, because when we dissolve it, we come back to this present moment, and the experience in this present moment is one of beauty and bliss and love and happiness and joy and possibility and freedom and all this good stuff. And that's also where we have the most power. The least chance of us getting hit in the face again is by us being present in the moment and not going into situations where we might get in the face again, or not showing up in a way that we make other people aggressive because we're aggressive, or whatever it might be. The truth is that when we surrender those stories, we come back to that version of ourselves that's in flow, that version of ourselves that is truly powerful and can affect the world in a positive way, and therefore has the most power to lessen the chances of negative outcomes that create that suffering. So suffering, in that sense, is really life just showing us where we're stuck. It's like a fire alarm going off. The fire alarm is beeping and it's horrible and it's annoying and I want it to stop and it's terrible, but it is telling me there's a fire and it's giving me a chance to deal with that fire. If I just tell the fire alarm to shut up and deny it and complain about how annoying the fire alarm is, the fire is going to eventually burn me alive. And that is what happens with our suffering. If we ignore it for too long, it gets more intense and more intense and more intense. And the framework I use for this is something I call tap, tap, baseball bat. And it's this idea that life will always give you a little tap on the shoulder and show you where you're stuck. Say in a relationship, you'll get indications that communication won't be good. You'll sense your partner slipping away. You notice there's some tension, friction, whatever it might be. You have this opportunity to look at it and really examine, like, where am I too attached? Where am I being too controlling? Where am I being insecure? What am I doing with this environment? Can I surrender that? Where can I let go? Can I solve this? Can I look at this? Most of us, what it involves is going back and examining those deep childhood prisons that really we don't want to look at, and for most of us don't even know exist. So it's a very tough situation. So it's very tough stuff for a lot of us to look at. So it's easier just to ignore it. or to distract from it, or to pretend it's not there. It's much easier to dive into the material world and just kind of distract ourselves with pleasure and distraction and the experience of physical reality, rather than look at some of that deep, dark stuff that, when surrendered, it opens us up to this incredible beauty, but is a process of going through, is a process of wading through some really heavy stuff, which can be overwhelming. So we ignore it. What happens then is another tap. Life just taps on the shoulder and goes, hey, that fire alarm is still going off. It's maybe a little bit louder now. But we're still able to ignore it. It's annoying. I don't like it. This relationship or whatever we're involved in is starting to get a little bit more friction. There's things we can kind of see, but we can see them even more clearly, but we're ignoring them. We're pushing them away. Again, it's tough stuff to deal with. And so we don't deal with it. We ignore it, we distract, we push it away, we just shove it right down, and we don't deal with it because it's easier to look away and it's harder to deal with our emotions. And then eventually, with enough taps, we get the baseball bat. Life goes, hey, you're not responding. Your fist is so tightly clenched, you're attached to this, and I've been trying to gently pry it open, just so you can surrender back to that experience of your true nature. But the more I try and pry it, the tighter you grip. So what's going to have to happen is a crowbar. And that's the baseball bat. That's a baseball bat to the side of the head, which we experience as a total collapse of everything. This is the midlife crisis. This is the incredible or the chronic health issues. This is some disease diagnosis. This is divorce. This is the breakup and the heartbreak. This is losing your career. This is something happening to you that is so profound and so painful and so overwhelming that you cannot ignore it anymore. That is a baseball bat to the side of the head. The light sort of prying open didn't work. The life just going, hey, open your fist. Don't be attached so much. Let go. Look at where you're holding on too tightly. We don't do that. We grip even harder. Crowbar comes in, baseball bat to the side of the head. Life goes, hey, this is for your own good. And that is the important thing. Of these intense periods of suffering, they are always in some way for our own good. We only experience suffering because it's life showing us where we're stuck. It's showing us where there's stuff to surrender, because in the surrendering is us going back to our true nature, of opening up to that sense of love and possibility and freedom. But in order to get there, we need to confront some very hard truths. We need to go deep. And sometimes the only way to do that is to hit rock bottom. Sometimes the only way we're able to confront painful things is when we're in an experience of even more pain. That when I'm at the bottom and there is so much pain in me, then I'm able to look at my stuff, because I will do anything to get out of this. When life is comfortable and things are going well, it's quite hard to confront this. You can come to awakening through any process. You can sit right now and be awakened and let go of all your stuff and surrender back to your true nature. But it's quite hard to do it when the world is quite comfortable, when we're asleep in our bed and it's cozy and warm and I don't want to get up. So sometimes life has to throw a bucket of water on us, rip the covers off. That fire alarm is going wild now. We cannot ignore it. The house is on fire. We need to sort it out. We need to look at it. The baseball bat is hit on the side of the head. We are now cannot ignore it. The crowbar has crowed up in the first. I'm using a lot of analogies here. I hope that land. But this framework, tap, tap, baseball bat, is a really useful thing for me of starting to look at your life and going, where am I getting some taps? Where am I pushing things away? Where am I tightly attached? Where is there suffering which I just trying to push away and saying, I don't want this, I hate this, I want to get over it? Where am I complaining? Where am I in tension? Where am I denying the very real signals and opportunities life is showing to me where maybe I'm stuck? And where are things repeating? Where have things keep coming back? Where are the relationships that you keep repeating the same patterns? Where are the dynamics in your life where you keep repeating the same things? What is showing up repeatedly? Those are the taps. And what I can promise you is if you don't deal with them, they don't go away. They just intensify. And this is a gift. This is the house is on fire. You have to deal with it. And if you don't deal with it now, that fire alarm is going to get louder and louder and louder and louder until you cannot ignore it. And now you're fighting a raging blaze. Now your whole life is imploded. Now you've got illness, or you got a divorce or breakup or career imploded or addiction or whatever it might be. We see this all around us, and if you stop and look around your life, I'm sure you can see this in other people you know, in situations in the world around us. So a useful framework, something to start looking at, again, something to start journaling about, of like just looking on on a day-to-day basis and on a week and week and year to year and month to month and over the course of your life, where are these things where maybe you're holding on a little too tightly and life is just giving you signals? Where is there friction? Where are things you're fighting against that you feel like you're exhausting yourself, you're burning out trying to fight it, and maybe you could surrender a bit more and start kind of looking at where can you let go, where can you accept things, where can you reframe them as actually a great gift from life, showing you where you're stuck rather than life throwing obstacles in your way because you're a victim of it.